Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the SkinBiotHerapeutics PLC Interim Financial Results Investor Presentation. Throughout this recorded presentation, investors will be in listen-only mode. Questions are encouraged and can be submitted at any time via the Q&A tab that's just situated on the right-hand corner of your screen. Please simply type in your questions at any time and press send. The company may not be in a position to answer every question received during the meeting itself. However, the company will review all questions submitted today and publish responses where it's appropriate to do so. Before we begin, I would like to submit the following poll, and if you'd give that your kind attention, I'm sure the company would be most grateful. And I'd now like to hand you over to CEO Stuart Ashman and CFO Doug Quinn. Good morning to you both.
Good morning. Firstly, thank you all for taking the time to listen to us this morning. I'm going to take the next sort of 30 minutes or so just going through a deck of slides. There's only about 25 of them. I'm going to, obviously, the main point of focus here is the interims and the reporting of the sales and financials up to December, close of December last year. And then I'm going to talk about prospects and progress going forward. So there will be some repetition amongst the slides. Please forgive me for that. For those of you who don't know the company, I have to give somewhat of a background, who we are and what we do, and then I'll get into the meat of the presentation. So there's our standard disclaimer. So I'm going to be talking about the microbiome. So as a brief explanation, the microbiome is a term used to describe the community of microorganisms that live in, on, and around the body. The human microbiome has extensive functions such as the development of immunity, defense against pathogens, hosting nutrition, including the production of short-chain fatty acids that are important in hosting energy metabolism, synthesis of vitamins, fat storage, as well as having a direct influence on human behavior. All of this makes it an essential organ of the body without which we wouldn't function correctly. So who are we and what do we do? Our focus is on skin health, specifically how skin looks, how it feels, and most importantly, how it repairs itself from injury and various diseases. In the past, there's been a lot of work done on the gut microbiome and the impact of probiotics therein. And many consumers have become very aware of gut health and its impact on overall well-being through the likes of Activa probiotic yogurts, Yakult, kombucha, kimchi, etc., things that we see more commonly these days. But very little's been known about skin microbiome. So in 2009, Professor Kath O'Neill, who was a world-renowned scientist from the University of Manchester, where she leads the Translational Dermatology Department, and I'm also proud to say she's our Chief Scientific Officer, she looked to replicate the benefits of probiotic used in the gut and transferring that onto the surface of the skin. This involved the identification of appropriate bacterial strains to extract. In our case, initially, this was Lactobacillus rhamnosus, which has excellent defensive action within the gut environment. Professor Kath and team decided that a bacterial lysate would allow greater stability, shelf life, and ease of use. So effectively, what that means in layman's terms is we take bacteria from the human gut, we smash it to pieces, quite literally, suspend it, and then we reapply it back to the surface of the skin in a more stable condition and look for reactions therein. Very flippantly, fast forwarding over 9 years of exhaustive research by one of the most respected scientists in the field, her research formed the basis to deliver probiotics to the skin from both the outside, topically with a lysate, and also from the inside with a bacterial cocktail designed to promote skin health. And I'll detail that in just a moment. Subsequently, the company span out of the University of Manchester and listed in 2017. We've translated our science into a 5-pillar commercial strategy that covers everything from cosmetics through to pharmaceuticals. We've signed 2 commercial agreements, the first with Croda PLC in 2019 in November, and in Winklow Probiotics in January of 2020. We're in discussions with several multinationals across all of the sectors. And finally, after more than 12 years of research, we've been busily filing patents, which results in a very robust IP portfolio. So the 5-pillar strategy that we talked about, this is our visualization, our one-slide snapshot, if you like, of who we are and what we do. Very quickly to walk you through them. On the left, SkinBiotix is our core technology. That's the lysate that we talked about. It's designed to promote skin health, harnessing the beneficial properties of probiotic bacteria in cosmetic-specific applications. Secondly, Axis Biotics, that uses probiotic blends or cocktails of bacteria and to address the emerging area of science that's focused on the gut-skin axis and its roles in various diseases. Third, Biotix. This targets the use of our proprietary SkinBiotix technology, but for application within the medical device sector, using topical treatments of skin disease as well as accelerated wound closure and advanced wound care. Fourth is SKINBIOTHERAPEUTIcs, which focuses on the use of our technology to address certain categories of healthcare-acquired infection and the potential to reintroduce good bacteria into both professional and domestic environments. And finally, PharmaBiotix. This is an extension to our medical device and access biotics pillars through the pathway of medicinal prescription registrations. So why do I talk about these five, and why do I talk about them in that order? Quite frankly, if you were to draw a time and cost axis, this is about what is the lowest hanging fruit, what's the swiftest route to market. So the first pillar we talked about deals very specifically, SkinBiotix deals very specifically with the cosmetic market. This is the fastest route to market. All we have to prove there is a safety study, which was completed quite some time ago. This is where we signed a deal with Croda PLC, and I'll detail the progress on that a little later on. The next step up the staircase, if you like, or the second pillar, is Access Biotix. This is claims that are limited to food supplements. There are no mode of action claims here, so it's not a medical device or a pharmaceutical. This is where we talk about the gut-skin axis, where we like to say healing the skin from within. This requires a short-term consumer study, which we completed last year, and I will talk about that in quite some detail in just a moment. The third pillar is the medical device market, considerably more regulated here, so a little bit longer to get to market. This sector requires clinical trials for the applications, or a clinical trial partner for the applications, and we do make mode of action claims therein. Fourth, SKINBIOTHERAPEUTIcs. This is healthcare acquired infections and surface protection. Again, very complex area. We're reintroducing bacteria or good bacteria into a medical or a domestic environment, so it requires quite the registration, quite the regulatory clearance. And then finally, highly regulated, the most regulated and the most expensive of all pharmaceutical market, prescription medicine. These are the longest trials, etc., etc. So as we climb the staircase, we de-risk in every step. We're 2 steps up the staircase, and I think what we're doing here is showing the versatility of the science and showing that we're not a one-trick pony. In terms of SkinBiotix, this is, as I said, the lowest hanging fruit. Our safety study revealed that not only can we provide highly efficient barriers in cosmetics, we also saw significant evidence of the restoration of elasticity at cellular level in skin treated with our product. The lab slides to the right, the 2 pink slides, show the short, dark purple candelabra-like structures on slide A. These are fibrillant microfibrils which deteriorate in aging, particularly with sun exposure associated aging, which is the biggest driver of all aging, exposure to the sun. In the presence of SkinBiotix on the right and slide B, the microfibrils are strengthened and restored. You can see how the strong, long fibers increase the fibrillin, and the deeper ridges indicate increased elasticity and extremely strong anti-aging effects. So in November 2019, we signed a deal with Croda PLC. Why did we decide to partner with them? Well, they're a FTSE 100 company. They've got a market cap of about 1.3 billion. They have an expert cosmetic ingredients division in Paris called Sederma. They have a portfolio of 12,000 plus customers that include pretty much every household cosmetic name: Pond's, Garnier, Chanel, Estee Lauder, etc., etc. The deal we struck with them is very specific to the provision of our science to provide an active skincare ingredient purely for cosmetics. Think moisturizers, makeup, etc., etc., anti-aging creams. They are building a dedicated sort of £4 to £5 million production facility in Widnes in Cheshire to basically produce our lysate. They are currently in the process of scaling that up to 20,000 litres, and that will basically provide the raw material for the worldwide market. They've currently exposed this to their VIP customers. What they mean by that are the top 12 cosmetics company in the world. Because of the volume that they purchase, they represent roughly 80% of the turnover of an ingredient of this nature. They already have an ingredient called Matrixyl, and these 12 customers dominate the sales of that product. So they're being given a sneak peek, if you like, of this product so that they can decide whether they wish to include it into an existing formulation or a product that they have, or whether they wish to develop a brand new product or a new brand. And they've been given a sort of 8 to 10, 12 months run at this so that they can see this before everybody else does. The project is bang on schedule, and we're due to see a release to the wider world towards the end of this year, and initial revenue starting to filter through then. This is a passive revenue play for us. Once this product is launched, it will yield us double-digit royalties, and as I say, very passive revenue, which allows us to get on to focusing on the remainder of the pillars. So very specifically now on to SkinBiotix. This is where we talk about the concept of a gut-skin axis. This is a newly emerging and an extremely important avenue of medical and scientific investigation. It's sort of healing the skin from within. And the best way to describe that is if you eat something that disagrees with you, you tend to develop a rash, become blotchy. That's a great example of the gut-skin axis, or the superhighway that exists between the stomach and the surface of the skin in play. Gut problems and indigestion actually affect the way your body retains nutrients found in your diet, which leads to poor absorption of vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants needed to keep your skin looking healthy. And an imbalance of the homeostasis of your gut microbiome could potentially worsen existing skin conditions like psoriasis, acne, etc., etc. So we look to restore that vital balance by the addition of missing bacteria, and very specifically through blends of live probiotics targeted at very specific diseases. And we do this through food supplements. That's because it's the fastest route to the market. No mode of action claims made here at all. We signed an agreement with Winklo Probiotics in the Netherlands in 2020, and expected that a formulation and validation of a blend for psoriasis would take upwards of 18 months. They cracked this in 4 months, and as such, we're ready to go into the study phase. So I think it's important to note that we're considerably ahead of schedule in the formulation of this product. We started specifically with psoriasis because it is a very niche condition. The sufferers tend to be very well educated. They communicate with each other widely. They tend to know very much what they want. And psoriasis patients tend to buy from psoriasis patients. They listen to each other. So we started a study in 2021. We completed it in 2021, and we subsequently launched a product, SkinBiotix PS. So it is a proprietary blend of probiotics. All of those ingredients are GRAS registered, so it's very natural. It is designed to slow down the overproduction of new skin cells in the gut, which leads to the plaquing that we call psoriasis. It has a huge impact on patients' quality of lives. We started with a 265 subject consumer study. We actually had over 1,000 people apply to join the study. We settled on 265. We commenced it in February of last year, ran it for 56 days. That's very specifically 2 cycles of human skin. Human skin tends to repair itself wholly within 28 days. So that was 2 28-day cycles, which is more than sufficient for us to see whether the product worked. The product, because of the pandemic, because of COVID-19, we pushed this through a mobile phone application, which was custom built from the ground up. We were going to run a study in a clinical environment, taking blood and stool samples. The pandemic put paid to that. So rather than sit still and rest on our laurels and wait for that to pass, we decided to push this forward aggressively. The data, because it was on a mobile phone, was live. We could see at any specific stage of the study how things were going. We had 0 adverse reactions at all. And as a direct result of that, we launched the product at the back end of October, early November last year in Q4 on World Psoriasis Day. So what were the results of the study? Well, I think you can see for yourself. Those of you who know the company well know how successful it was. Most of the people on the study had psoriasis. They self-identified as psoriatic. Some of them had rosacea, some had acne, some had all 3. This was an extremely successful study indeed. Circa 70% across the 4 categories saw a noticeable improvement in their skin condition. That's an important number to remember, 70%. So for roughly 30%, the product shows little to no change. And that is down to things like genetics, diet, hydration, body mass, lifestyle, whether people actually remember to take the product or not. So there's a lot of factors that go into play there. But the 70%, circa 70%, is an important number to remember as we move on. So what was the path to commercialization? We prepared post-study and pre-launch for a launch that would ensure the scale-up of manufacture and the distribution channels, and we needed them to be robust. And the reason for that is that if people take this product for 2 to 3 months and stop taking it, the symptoms return very swiftly, just as swiftly as they went away. So you need that probiotic foundation within the gut constantly. That's why this is a subscription model. You can't just take it and forget to take it, 2 or 3 days after that, the symptoms will simply return. So this was registered as a food supplement in the UK and the US. So we had to have regulatory clearance to do that. We did that in an extremely short space of time. We decided to choose targeted regions, UK and US, rather than the rest of Europe. And that's because we require regulatory clearance by member state because of Brexit, country by country in Europe. We require language-specific packaging, language-specific websites, language-specific interaction with the web shop and Shopify. So we decided to launch in the English-speaking markets first. So in terms of the scale of manufacturing, that was quite a significant feat as well. Getting the packaging right was a significant feat also. I'll talk about that in just a moment. But that was the path towards commercialization. The product was split into 3 phases. So first of all, the packaging had to be small enough to mail. We decided that because of the pandemic, we didn't know how long that would go on. We needed to basically make this go through a letterbox. 28 sachets per box rather than 33, which is what we did in the trial, ensures that there are 13 sales in a year rather than 12. As I said, we launched it in the UK and the US, and we had significant cross-border issues in the first 2 to 3 months. We used FedEx as our partner of choice. That in itself brought a lot of problems. We're shipping, let's be honest about this, 28 sachets of white powder across an international border. So the customs officials in the United States did raise an eyebrow. We did have significant customs and border control issues, not just in the United States, but also in the United Kingdom. We're shipping from a central warehouse in the Netherlands into the UK post-Brexit. So we did have significant delays. We had problems with the condition of the packaging arriving. We had to make that more robust and more resilient. So as I say, we cleared this as a food supplement rather than a medical device to avoid a full-blown clinical trial, but that still involved us having to basically secure a food operator business license, which is no small feat. When we talk about the launch plan on a macro perspective, this is basically a 3-phase plan. It's a systematic rollout of the product that preserves cash and tests the supply chain to secure the retention levels. It's key that we keep remembering retention levels here. Retention levels are key to what will be a robust forecast, and it's key to basically growing this business. It's pointless having someone try the product and then not buy it again in month 2 or month 3. We need to understand why people want to buy this product on a constant basis and on a perpetual basis. So we decided to run with the National Psoriasis Foundations in the US and in the UK, also with an influencer program that came in phase 2, social media platform. And basically that was quite simply because we don't have a huge marketing budget. I'll talk about this in a little more detail in a while, but this business was basically formed, floated and funded as a B2B, a business-to-business entity. It was never intended to be a business-to-consumer or a direct-to-consumer model. We weren't funded that way. We weren't structured that way. So we've had to pretty much reinvent ourselves from the ground up. We've had to bring in customer services support, which is not something you need in a business-to-business entity. We've had to bring in digital marketing creators. That's, again, something you don't need in a B2B entity. We've had to bring in commercial managers, et cetera, et cetera. So, and we've also had to get to understand influencer programs and digital media platforms. So, it's been a very steep learning curve indeed. And again, with all marketing programs, you have to blow the balloon up a little, and then it leaks a little. In our case, that leak is 30% drop off and about 70% retention, 69% retention. And you keep blowing it up and you keep doing that and continually going on and on and on. Fortunately for us, the retention means we keep 70% of the customers that try our product. Phase 3 sees us rolling out into the rest of the world. And the reason for that is, we've got to attract distributors. Distributors like to see success in home markets. We'll continue to boost and maintain those sales, make sure that we're communicating with our subscribers and building a community, building a tribe of people out there that actually use this product. We'll continue with our search engine optimization and continue to do region-specific testimonials. So phase 2 of the launch plan, as we said, very targeted approach here. The influencer program is designed to reach 1.9 million people with each wave. Frankly, people with psoriasis listen to people with psoriasis, and indeed they buy from people with psoriasis. They have to be influencers that they relate to. This is not the Kim Kardashians of the world. Kim Kardashian is the most famous person in the world that has psoriasis, but her 5 or 6 million followers don't all have psoriasis. The people that we target as influencers all have psoriasis. All of their followers tend to follow them because that's all they talk about, their life and their struggles with a psoriatic state. So they talk about the introduction of probiotics. They talk about exposure to sun, hydration, exercise. They're the people that we need, because all of the people that click and follow are actually potential customers. Those 1.9 million people that are reached are boosted across all social media platforms: Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, Facebook, etc., etc. That results in 3 million ad impressions, so 3.8 million clicks. That sees an increase in traffic, and an increase traffic to the shop of 335%. And that the retention is in line with the study. As I said, it's sort of high 60s, 70% at the top end, and that's in line with exactly the same metrics that you saw in the study. The search engine optimization is critical. We need people who live in a fast-paced world. People live on their mobile phones these days. They live on laptops. They live on computers. That's the way people get their news now. We need to make sure that when they type in probiotics, they type in psoriasis, that we hit top of the list. And that takes some work, and it takes some money to do that. All in all, that results in an integrated marketing plan, which basically covers all channels. And that is the level of our success now as we move out of the soft launch into the main marketing phase. We start to see that really having an impact on our sales and on our overall retention levels. So what does that actually look like? We start with 200,000 targeted followers reached across Instagram, and basically we boost them, and that number turns into 1.9 million across all the platforms. The response has been absolutely phenomenal. 986% rise in referrals from Instagram, 276 from Facebook, and as I said, 335 rise in sales. So I mean that's an incredible set of statistics. Some of the influencers that we have are consultant dermatologists. Dr. Emma Wedgeworth, I would encourage you all to sort of Google her and have a look at her Instagram posts. Sienna Ray, a lady from the United States. So we now have influencers and customers on the other side of the pond. We Red Spots, no surprise that that's a Scottish lady, who talks specifically about her struggle with psoriasis, but a very successful campaign to date. When we talk about phase 3, we talk about the tools that we can use to support and prop up the learning curve that we have. So it's not enough to just drive people to the shop. A lot of people will go into the store and take a test, take a subscription, put it into a basket, and not check out. And there's a million reasons why that they don't do that. The doorbell rings, a dog barks, a baby cries, someone sends them a funny meme of Will Smith punching someone at the Oscars. So yeah, people get distracted. So it's our job to then put in place a piece of software that allows us to track those abandoned carts, go back, reach out to them, and ask them if they have any questions that need to be answered. If they don't, basically complete that subscription or complete that checkout within a set period of time, we offer them a slight reduction in cost, a one-off discount to see if we can get them to subscribe. We back that up with Trustpilot reviews. That's critical to anyone having a belief and a trust in, in the security of our site and the efficacy of our product. Not just testimonials, but independently rated by Trustpilot. In order to do that, you have to have consumers, you have to have subscribers, and that grows with every day. That's why we reinforced our commercial team with a customer services manager, why we're looking for a digital media creator, because those Trustpilot reviews are critical. And then we have to look at the conversion rates. For every person that visits the store, how many can we convert to a sale? And then how many can we retain thereafter? And it's the retention level that is the key number here. That number will drive the basis of a solid forecast. We were pretty much thumb in the air when we put a forecast out earlier when we worked with our analyst at 1.2 million. I would say that that's very much a timing issue. We've had a soft launch. We must ensure that supply chain is robust. We had significant shipping issues getting cross-border with Brexit and the United States. We've had to iron those creases out. None of those problems are insurmountable, but we've needed to iron those creases out. We now know that things like IFUs and testimonials absolutely have to be region specific. We've seen a lower pickup in the United States than we anticipated. And, why is that? We still work with the National Psoriasis Foundation. We now realize that our testimonials were all very much UK centric. And that was by design, that was by necessity. Also, we were in the middle of a pandemic. We couldn't get to the US. We didn't have US customers. We were trialing this in the UK with UK only residents that were on that study. So all we had was UK testimonials. We're now working on US regional specific testimonials. And we now know that we need to do that in every region we go into. Having 1 or 2 testimonials that are French would be better than having, 10 testimonials that are English for a launch in France specifically. In terms of distributors in phase 3, they're very attractive to bring distributors in, people that have intricate local knowledge in places like China, Latin America, the Middle East, etc. is much easier than trying to bring a direct-to-consumer product in. It's better to have a distributor on the ground with expert knowledge. In order to get those distributors and have them place significant stocking orders, they're looking for success in home markets. We're seeing that with the conversion rates, we're seeing that with the retention rates, and we are talking to a number of large distributors at the moment about their pathway forward. So the big question on everybody's lips right now, is Access Biotix a hit or a miss? So let me just talk about the difference between B2B and B2C. And I can give you no end of data on the difference between the two. They are night and day. First of all, marketing spend. We are, I think anyone that knows us as a shareholder, a very cautious company. We don't dash out the gates and throw, the kitchen sink at a half-baked marketing plan. We take our steps cautiously and carefully. We are acutely aware that we are dealing with investors' money here, so we spend it very cautiously and very carefully. This has always been a case of when and not if. This product fundamentally works. We've got no end of testimonials, no end of rave reviews, no end of photographs that we can prove that. 70% of people that take this product come back and take it again. We know that it works. So as I said, and I'll say it again, this is a case of when and not if. This is going to require a little bit more time than we gave ourselves. A standing start from basically what is 5 months away, 3 months of a soft launch and 2 months since the main marketing campaign started. We started the influencer program in February. Is where we are right now. We've got people using the product on both sides of the Atlantic, of which I'm enormously proud. We reacted to a global pandemic and the need for a study. We have reacted again to the results from that study, and we're reacting again to the stats that we've got now. Again, the key number here is retention. This is a category blurring product. It is not a medical device. It is not a pharmaceutical. It is a food supplement. Some people see it as homeopathic. Some people see it as a nutraceutical. It is blazing a trail. Again, there is somebody very wisely asked a question in advance on this forum. Have we gone for the National Psoriasis Foundation's Rosette accreditation, one of their sort of recommended products? Yes, we've talked to them extensively about that. We are aware of the criteria, some of which is clinical evidence, and an awful lot of which is based on testimonials from customers. So in order to get a US testimonial, we're going to need a lot more US customers. We are absolutely on that pathway and in regular contact with the NPF. Again, they don't have a supplement. They don't have any form of bacterial probiotic treatments within their recommended products. We are the first because we are category blurring, because we are blazing a trail. So in my terms and in the terms of the board, this is a categoric hit. It's just a matter of time. In terms of what's next, well, you all know that this is not a one-trick pony. When you talk about category blurring, it's very important that you look at what's coming next. Acne to be treated by a food supplement, potentially a chewing gum, that is absolutely category blurring. Dandruff that is treated by a food supplement, a boiled sweet, or a sachet powder you're taking a drink, what would Procter & Gamble and Head & Shoulders make of that? These are trailblazing products. Nobody's done this before. There is a learning curve. We are on it. What there is absolutely no doubt about is that the science works. We've got multiple strains to run at here. We've got multiple target opportunities. We need to get the marketing model right. We need to get the consumer model correct. We need to reinvent ourselves, and we're doing that, and we have done quite successfully thus far. So the opportunities to heal from the inside out are very significant and continue to present themselves. Just a quick word on B2B versus B2C. I'm not going to bang this drum, for 10 minutes or more. This is very much a yin and yang. I've talked about reinventing ourselves, and I've talked about a balance. we are absolutely a B2B business in SkinBiotix, in MediBiotics, in CleanBiotics, and in pharma. In no way, shape, or form would we ever attempt to go direct to consumer in those 4 pillars. In this pillar, an opportunity presented itself, and the question is, do you surrender margin, and have no marketing spend, or do you take all the margin and have significant marketing spend, or a moderated marketing spend? And that's what we're doing right now. We are being very careful with our cash. Nobody wants to see us run out of cash, and nobody wants to see us go out and do an enormous fundraise to fuel a marketing machine. We are trying to do this moderately, slowly, and carefully and cautiously, as we've conducted this business since day one. But this is about a balance. So I'm kind of hoping that people can see the balance that we've got here, that this is actually calculated risk. So in terms of the interim results and financial key points, we've talked about the commercial launch of Biotix PS. I've said it again. I've said it once, I'll say it again. It's a timing issue. It's very much a case of when and not if. We need a little longer runway. Can I tell you when we'll hit that 1.2 million? No, I can't. Not at this moment in time. But what I can tell you is that as each day passes, our sales grow. Our retention level grows. Our retention level remains. We keep retaining clients, and they come back month after month. So as far as we're concerned, Access Biotix, it's just a matter of time, when and not if. Croda have been engaging with their VIP clients regarding SkinBiotix. That project's absolutely running to plan. The VIP clients have been in. They have now got samples of the product that were drawn from the 600-litre scale-up. That's what happened to that end product. It's gone to the VIPs. They've gone away to test this in their own formulations and to see whether it stands on its own legs as a brand new product or as a new brand within their portfolio. It's still on track to be released to the wider world at the end of this year. So we should see revenue, and remember, it's passive revenue, by the end of this year. Formulations under development for an acne food supplement. We've always said that was next on the rack. That is with Winclove now undergoing stability study. We've identified the strains of bacteria. Now it's a case of getting the formulation spot on. I would love to say I know what time that is. Last time I put a timeline on Winclove, I said it was 18 months and they did it in 4. I'm not for 1 minute suggesting that will happen again, but it would not surprise me. They're certainly working very diligently on this. Our research programs continue with the University of Manchester, the first of which will complete in July, and that is the Andrew McBain study. So we've got that to look forward to. That's oral cavity protection. And then we've got Professor Kath's inflammation program. We've also, you'll have seen the appointments of the Chief Financial Officer subject to due diligence and our new non-executive director. So Manpreet Singh Randhawa and Danielle Becker, respectively, in those 2 positions, who bring with them a wealth of experience, both in growth and also in digital media and customer interaction and customer behavior trends. Our cash at the end of December was on plan, 3.2 million. And our outlook, it is pointless dodging this. Our revenue for the full year will be below expectations, materially below expectations. Some people are going to ask, and I haven't looked at the questions that are coming in now, but I would imagine some of the questions are, why did you put an RNS out 6 weeks ago saying that you'd still believe that you could hit the 1.2 million by the end of June, and you're now saying you'll materially be below expectations? And that's purely and simply because it is taking us time to basically process through and scale up the influencer program and the digital marketing integrated program as well. Does that mean it's a fail? No. Again, it's a matter of time. We're just moving the slide rule here. To what point in time, I do not know. But as soon as I do, you'll be the very first to know. Doug, would you mind talking about the finances for a moment, please?
Thanks, Stuart. So obviously, we're just reporting up to the end of December here. So that's the 6-month trading period. The revenue was for the 2 months of November and December, just over 20,000, during which time we shipped 1,000 boxes of the product, predominance to the UK. A strong and sustainable gross profit margin at 60%, and we certainly see that continuing. Selling and distribution, obviously, relatively speaking, on the low volume is quite high. There's elements of fixed cost on the storage costs. And then we've taken the decision, again, in the early stages of a kind of cautious approach, that we're shipping product directly to end users, and particularly in the US, And again, because you're shipping from Europe into the UK, the postage costs are quite expensive. As we see volumes grow and have greater sustainability on the volumes, then we will look at potentially bulk shipping in those two geographies and in other markets as well. R&D in line with plan, predominance again with the work that we're doing with the University of Manchester, and operating expenditure increasing in line with, increasing cost base of the business, some marketing spend pre-launch of Axis Biotix, and therefore overall for the period a loss of 1.1 million for the 6-month period. And looking at the balance sheet, obviously a key change in the lead up to launching Axis was building some inventory. So as many of you know, we manufacture the product through Winclove in the Netherlands. They take it to the point of the sachets inside the box, and then they are shipped to a third-party distribution center also in the Netherlands. We made the decision pre-launch. We did consider building and storing our own warehouse, but decided in the end that we were better with a third party, far level greater capability and experience in this, and I think that's proved out with the work that we've done through in the launch. So we were holding just under 400 or just over 400 grams worth of inventory at the end of December, and obviously a key element for the business is our cash position. So as you would expect, an increased burn over the 6-month period of 1.4 million, partly reflective of the inventories and partly reflective of the increased cost. And having brought Axis Biotix as a product from concept to launch in the space of 12 months, but end of December we still had over £3 million worth of cash on the balance sheet.
Thanks, Doug. So back to the slide that we put up early on. We've talked about the first two pillars. In terms of Biotix, I mentioned earlier, and somebody just popped a question on about that. I think it's important to understand that I mentioned this earlier, but the introduction of bacteria into an open wound is an enormously complex scientific, medical, and legal question and issue. It's not insurmountable, far from it, and we are talking to the biggest players in the world about the application of this science. The microbiome is a very, very hot topic. It continues to be so. Someone's putting a question up here saying, you've been talking about this since 2020. What's the progress? Well, the progress was hampered a little bit by the pandemic, but we certainly didn't stop talking to people. We have had very, very senior meetings with the best possible partners you could imagine. It is a matter of time again before we achieve something in this area, but we need the right partner here. We don't want to go off half-cocked. We could have done a deal on this last year. It wasn't the right time. It wasn't the right partner. We weren't ready, and certainly they weren't the right partner. So I would rather wait and get this right. We are, as I say, still in discussions with multiple partners, and we'll continue to update you on that. That is very much a B2B play. As I said, that's an upfront milestone payments, a success payment, and then royalties thereafter in return for exclusivity to the science. The same is to be said of SkinBiotix. We've actually seen a pickup in interest there. On top of the 2 or 3 people we're talking to, there are a couple of new players that have come to the table as a result, one would imagine, of the COVID-19 pandemic, that are now very interested because the focus in healthcare associated infections and bacterial loading and bacterial resistance is coming to the fore. A number of months ago, in fact a year or so ago, I presented a short video where we talked about the World Health Organization's focus on bacterial loading. And that was before the pandemic kicked in and truly crippled us all. But this is an area of great focus at the moment. We've only got so many resources, so we can only spin so many plates at once. But it is an area that we are discussing at the highest level. Pharma Biotix, as I've said, that's a conversation that we've had around the water cooler, around the coffee machine, whatever you wish to call it, where people are watching very closely what we're doing, what science we have, and I would imagine they'll pounce when they're good and ready. So in terms of focus for 2022, the remainder of this year, it goes without saying, I've already covered this in the highlights of the interims, our focus is very much on the Axis Biotix launch and increasing the growth in sales there, keeping that retention, continuing that integrated marketing plan. We'll roll this out in Europe country by country. As I said, we've already strengthened the commercial team significantly. We'll continue to do so. I've already talked about Sederma and the VIP engagement with SkinBiotix. I've already talked about acne, and I've already talked about the research programs, and also the 2 new appointments, which we're very much looking forward to welcoming to the company. In summary, I would say that this is not the result that you've all expected. It's not the result that we planned for, but this product is an absolute hit. It should not be put down because it's taking a little slower to roll out. We're doing that to preserve cash. People could be saying, Stuart, critically, you've got to throw more money at this. Well, if I was to keep those people happy and appease them by throwing money, I would upset the other half of our shareholders who would say, why are you burning money? There are a bunch of questions which, Doug, if you're ready to, I think we'll go through. And the first one,
Stuart, if I may just come in there and just thank you very much, you and Doug, for presenting this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could please continue to submit your questions using the Q&A tab that's just situated on the right-hand corner of your screen. But just while Stuart and Doug take a few moments to review those questions submitted already, I would like to remind you that a recording of this presentation, along with a copy of the slides and the published Q&A, can be accessed via your investor dashboard. Doug, Stuart, firstly, thank you very much indeed for taking the time to respond to those questions that were pre-submitted and that have come from investors today. Ladies and gentlemen, we will publish those responses where it's appropriate to do so on the Investor Meet Company platform. But Doug, Stuart, perhaps before doing so, as you can see, we've received a number of questions throughout today's presentation, and thank you to all investors submitting those questions. If I could please ask you where it's appropriate to do so, to read out the question and give a response, and then I'll pick up from you at the end. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that. So first question, given rising costs in social media and paid search, why do you think a B2C strategy is right and not too costly for a business of this size? Surely you need to partner with psoriasis partners. That's a good question, and it is one that we've asked internally. It's actually one that we've discussed openly with the market. We initially intended for this very much to be a retail play, a Holland and Barrett, a health food store play. Given the conversations we had with companies of that nature, the margin surrender was colossal. We literally eroded the bulk of the margin by giving it to a retail partner. Furthermore, the payment terms were basically about anywhere between 4 and 6 months, depending on who you spoke to. And then there was the jostling for shelf space and retail space on a shelf with other products, not even of our category, but with the next hot thing. So we decided that bringing all the margin to our side would be a better play. Given the rising costs of social media, we've not spent an awful lot on marketing at all. Now, I could be criticized for that. We could be criticized as a company for that. But we're not in the habit of throwing everything at this in marketing. Prior to this product's emergence, we didn't even have a line in the budget for advertising and promotion. Why would we? We're a B2B business. This is us basically rolling this product out. It absolutely works. And of that, there is no doubt. This is a matter of time again. In terms of psoriasis partners, there are none. The National Psoriasis Foundation don't sell product, neither the National Psoriasis Association. If we go to a drug company, it's not what they do. We're a sector blurring product. If you go to a food supplement company, as I've just said, the costs are eye-wateringly high. So that's the decision that we made, and we do stand by it. The next question is, could you please give us guidance on how far away you think we are in reaching the target sales? I understand it's uncharted territory, but this answer is critical going forward. That's not a question that I can answer with any accuracy right now. And this is a publicly listed company, as you all know. We can only give you absolute facts. I can't give you, an estimation. We are not in the business of giving forecasts. That's what the analysts do. We worked with the analysts and asked them to withdraw the forecast purely and simply because I couldn't put an accurate number on it. I couldn't tell you whether we will hit the 1.2 2 months after the deadline or 4 months or 6 months after the deadline. What I can tell you is that sales grow every single day and that it is a matter of time. This is absolutely just a timing issue. And I genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, wish I could give you a solid answer on that. We just don't know at this moment in time. What I do know is it works and people keep buying it. I've got another question here. Stuart, are you guilty of not doing your homework on the true level of influence and membership numbers of the Psoriasis Society partner when you leased a 10,000 square meter warehouse and confirmed that 1.2 million revenue was achievable in the February RNS? So let me address the first one. We have not leased a 10,000 square meter warehouse at all. I think you might have read the RNS incorrectly. We leased 1.2 million We have an elastic walls warehouse. We have basically got a distribution partner. If we want to put 40,000 boxes on the warehouse, we pay for the space for 40,000 boxes. If we want to put 400,000 boxes on, we pay for just the space we use. That's because we do things cautiously and carefully. We only pay for what we actually use. We would not go out and basically rent a 10,000 square foot warehouse. Not now, no, not in the immediate future. Elastic walls warehouse makes a lot more sense in terms of cash control. In terms of where we confirmed a 1.2 million revenue was achievable in February 2022. All of the stuff that we basically put on RNS is fact checked by our Nomad. We basically pour over it ourselves. It was a unanimous decision of the board that it was still achievable at that time. What we're saying now is that 1.2 million number is not achievable, and we think we're going to materially miss it. What does that miss look like? Again, as I said in the previous answer, I can't give you a finite answer on that, and I wish I could. What I'm saying is it's a matter of time. I've got another question here. Early discussions with potential commercial partners have been ongoing since 2020 for Biotix and Clean. Has there been any progress at all in advancing these discussions towards a commercial partner announcement, or have they been put on hold while attention's been focused on Axis and Skin? Great question. I think I in part answered that on the last slide when we talked about the stairway and the various pillars. We are absolutely still engaged with the Biotix partners and the Clean Biotix partners, but it is important to understand this is not a food supplement that's you basically take in a glass of water each day. This is putting bacteria into an open wound and accelerated wound closure. This is introducing bacteria, lysated bacteria, into an operating room, into an intensive care environment. There are significant legal implications and significant medical and scientific implications. So you would all think very, very weakly of us as a company and very poorly of me as a CEO if we rolled this out and ended up in a lawsuit 6 months later. So we are making sure that we've got all our ducks in a row before we actually go ahead and push this forward. Everything's going in the right direction there, and I'm very pleased with the progress we've made thus far. I think that's about it. We answered some questions previously, which I think are being published. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. And thank you very much, Stuart, Doug, for addressing all those questions that have come through from investors. And of course, if there are any further questions submitted today, we will give them back to you immediately after the presentation has ended. And ladies and gentlemen, once again, they will publish responses where it's appropriate to do so on the Investor Meet Company platform, and we'll notify you by email when these are ready for your review. Stuart, perhaps before redirecting investors to provide you with their feedback, which I know is particularly important to the company, could I please ask you for a few closing comments to wrap up with? Thank you.
Thank you. As I said earlier, this is not the set of results that we hoped to issue when we launched this product. We are cautious, we are careful, we are taking our time with that, for which I offer no apology. This is a matter of time. We're moving the slide rule on the dates here. As soon as I have a finite answer to that, I will be informing you by RNS, and we'll be happy to do another one of these forums as and when we have focus and detail on that. Sales are growing. The product does work. I would ask you very much to keep the faith in this. We are the same company as we were 5 months ago. We did a soft launch. We've just gone into our main marketing phase. The numbers will grow. The product does work, and as do all of the other things behind it. We're not a one-trick pony. As well as Axis Biotix, we do have SkinBiotix, Medi, Clean, and all of the other areas, and all of the projects that are going on within the university. This is a longer term play. It is groundbreaking science. We are blazing a trail. It is sector blurring. I'm still remain very, very proud to be the CEO of this company, and I'm extremely proud of the achievements that we've made in making people's lives better. Thank you very much for your time and for your patience, and also for listening to me drivel on for the last 49 minutes. So enjoy the rest of your day.
Stuart, thank you very much. Stuart, Doug, thank you very much indeed for taking the time to update investors this morning. Could I please ask investors not to close this session, as you'll now be automatically redirected for the opportunity to provide your feedback in order that the management team can better understand your views and expectations. It's going to take a few moments to complete, and I'm sure will be greatly valued by the company. On behalf of the management team of SkinBiotherapeutic's PLC, we'd like to thank you for attending today's presentation. That now concludes today's session. So good morning to you all.